Hello everyone, welcome. So today I will be talking about the second round of stimulus checks. And I know you've probably seen in the news a lot of information, a lot of change, and it's constantly being updated. So I'm here to break it down for you, clear and simple, laying it out for you. And as I talk, as I break it down, you will see notes to the side of your screen, which will just really break it down even further for you and have it all spelled out. So I am so sorry that it's taken so long for you to get this money. So let me explain when you're gonna get it, how you're gonna get it, and just going over the stimulus bill in general. So I'm gonna break this down into 6 parts. Part 1 is just gonna talk about the stimulus bill itself. What is it? Going into the first one, going into the second one, and potentially the third one. So you have to stay tuned to get a timeline or a potential timeline when you should potentially receive the third stimulus check. And so that will be the first point, or the first part. I will break down just the stimulus bill, what it is. Then, second part, I'm going to talk about the requirements in order to qualify for the second round of stimulus checks, because there are certain requirements that you need to hit in order to get this check. Then thirdly, I'll talk about, unfortunately, those that do not qualify because they don't meet certain requirements. And then fourthly, which is very exciting, I'm going to talk about those that are newly qualified for the second round that did not qualify for the first round of checks. And potentially, because they are now qualified, they could retroactively, meaning that now, present day, they could get the first round of stimulus checks that they didn't previously qualify while they get the second stimulus check. And then part 5 will break down the stats that are really important for the first stimulus check that will likely apply for the second one as well. And then part 6 will give you that timeline that you're wanting to know. When are you going to get your money? Because that is very important, knowing when the money is coming to you. And then I'll even hint at and give you a rough timeline of the planned schedule if there is a third stimulus check. So let's jump into it. So for part 1, what is the stimulus check? What is it, or what is it a part of? So the second round of stimulus checks are a part of the coronavirus relief bill, okay? And it is totaled to be about $900 billion that's supposed to give relief and support to a bunch of Americans, millions of Americans who are struggling right now because of the coronavirus. And so within the coronavirus relief bill, most tax-paying Americans should receive $600 if they meet certain requirements. In addition, what's very unique about this bill is that adults who have children who are under the age of 17 and have their kids qualified as dependents should get another $600. So to break it down for you, let's say that there is a single mom who's making $25,000 a year. She has 3 kids under the age of 17 and has classified them as dependents on her 2019 taxes. She should get a total of $2,400 on the second round of stimulus checks. And I'm gonna break it down for you. So she should receive $600 just for herself. And then she should receive $600 per kid. So $600 for one of them, $600 for another one, and $600 for the third kid. And in total, that's $2,400 that she should receive in the second round of stimulus paychecks. So what's great about this money is that it's non-taxable. So you do not have to qualify this as income coming in. So you don't have to pay taxes, which is great. And so you might be wondering, the $600 doesn't sound like the $2,000 I keep hearing in the news. So as it relates to the $2,000 stimulus checks, that relates to a potential change or increase in the stimulus check that you can receive. So as you've seen, Trump has been supporting it. Also, you've seen in the House has supported it. And so now, right now, it is held up in the Senate. So there are a lot of senators, or a few senators in power, who do not want to increase the stimulus checks from $600 to $2,000. So now we're going into part 2, which are the requirements necessary, or the requirements that you have to meet in order to qualify for the second round of stimulus checks. So you must have a social security card number. You must have that number. Secondly, you must have filed your 2019 taxes, because the IRS needs to be able to find you. They need to find you so they can either give you that direct deposit money, or they need to send you a check. So they need to be able to find you. And then thirdly, you have to be single and making less than $75,000, or be a married couple making less than $150,000. So those are the 3 requirements that you have to reach. You have to have a social security card number, you have to have filed your 2019 taxes, and you have to be a single making less than $75,000, or be married and making less than $150,000. And so for every $100 additional that you make above $75,000 or $150,000, you get $100 less. So singles will get $600, and then married couples will get that $1,200. Okay, if they qualify. And the more money they make, the less money they get in a stimulus check. And I'll break down in part 3 those that do not qualify for the stimulus check. If you make above this amount, you do not qualify. So now we're gonna move on to part 3, those that do not qualify. So unfortunately, this is a hard topic, because I believe that a lot of people in these areas should qualify for the stimulus check, but unfortunately, based off the guidelines, they do not. So adult dependents do not qualify for a stimulus check. So you might be wondering, what is adult dependent? So parents who have kids have the right to say, oh, my child is a dependent. So let's say if your parent, talking to the younger adults here, if your parent labels you as a dependent on their taxes, that means that you do not qualify for the second round of stimulus checks. And parents out there, if you qualified your adult child or your adult kid as a dependent, then unfortunately you do not get an additional $600 to help support them. That's very, very unfortunate. So moving forward to the second thing that will make you ineligible for receiving the second round of stimulus checks. So if you are single and make more than $87,000 in your 2019 taxes, you are not eligible for the second round of stimulus checks. And if you are married and you make more than $174,000, you are not eligible for the second round of stimulus checks. So you need to make sure that you are bringing in less money as an individual, less money than $87,000. As a married couple, less than $174,000. If you are not eligible for any amount of stimulus checks. So you will receive $0. So now part 4. Now that I've talked about the sad news, now I can talk about the happy news. Those that are newly qualified, which is exciting to know that people who did not get the first round now are eligible for the second round. So there is a term called mixed status families. So those who were part of mixed status families did not qualify for the first round of stimulus checks, but now they are qualified. So the government defines mixed status families as individuals who live in households with others that do not have a social security card number. But now, if you have a social security card number and you are living in a house with others that do not, you still qualify for the second round of stimulus checks. And what's even better is that you can retroactively get the first round of stimulus checks as well. So if you get more than that $600, that's great. That's great, because now you qualify for not only the second round, but also the first round. So you should definitely look into that. Make sure that you get that money. So now moving on to part 5, which is important stats from the first stimulus check that I want to talk about for the second stimulus check. So for the first one, 75% of people who received that check received it by direct deposit. 22% received it by a check in the mail, and 3% received debit cards. So the the percentages are likely to be the same for the second round of checks. And to further break that down, that means that 75% will likely get direct deposits, 22% will likely get paper checks in the mail, and then that 3% for the first stimulus check that received it by debit cards, unfortunately will not likely get the second round of stimulus checks because it does not fit the timeline that the current government has in terms of sending out the stimulus. So that 3% that received debit cards in the mail will likely have to claim a recovery rebate credit. Again, that's a recovery rebate credit. I will include links in the description that will have more details about a recovery rebate credit. But if you did not get the first stimulus bill, or you got the first stimulus bill by receiving it with a debit card, then unfortunately you're not likely to get the second one. And so when you file 2020 taxes, you're going to have to claim a recovery rebate credit in order to try to get that money, which is very unfortunate. I'm sorry to say this, but you're not likely going to get a second round of stimulus checks until you do your 2020 taxes in 2021. So, breaking it down, which I will talk about more in the timeline, unfortunately, by the end of a certain date, you will not be able to get the second round of stimulus checks anymore because the second round of stimulus checks was done under President Trump. And so soon there will be President Biden. And so there's a timeline in which you can no longer receive that second stimulus check. But good news, there might be a third stimulus check. So moving on to part 6, the timeline, the time that y'all have been waiting for. So when should you receive the second round of stimulus checks? So as soon as today. Today is Wednesday, December 30th. So as soon as today, you should start receiving your checks. And then following this week, you should also potentially receive checks. And then when the ball is really gonna get rolling, when a lot of people are gonna receive their direct deposits, is gonna be next week, the week of January 4th. So from January 4th to January 8th, a lot of people should receive their direct deposits, which includes their stimulus money. When I say stimulus checks, I just mean stimulus money, unless I'm talking about the checks that will be sent in the mail, which the following week, the week of January 11th, is when those hard copy checks in the mail should come. The week of January 11th is when those hard copy checks should come in the mail. And that should be from January 11th to January 15th. So again, from the 4th to the 8th, you should receive direct deposits. Remember how I mentioned the stats from the first stimulus bill? If you receive direct deposits from the first one, you should receive, again, direct deposits between January 4th and January 8th. If you receive checks on the last one, you should receive a check between January 11th and January 15th of 2021. And if you receive those debit cards from the first stimulus bill, unfortunately, again, you're gonna have to file, or you're gonna have to claim a recovery rebate credit when you file your 2020 taxes. So that's a rough timeline of when you should receive your stimulus payment for the second round of stimulus. So as it relates to the third stimulus check, which by no means has this been confirmed, but a rough timeline that they have, and I'll include links below to CNBC and other trusted sources, is that as early as April 12th, that should be the first round of the third stimulus check that will be received by direct deposit. And then April 19th, for that week, you can receive hard checks in the mail. So I'm wishing you all well. I hope you are hanging in there. If you by means have lost your job, you can click on this link and watch the video for how to budget your money when you have lost your job. If you want to see other budgeting videos, you can look at the playlist right here. I'm wishing you all well. Make sure to look at the description. There's a bunch of deals. So if this stimulus check is discretionary income from you, then check out the description below. You can get 4 free stocks from Webull. So make sure to use that link below. So definitely check out that information. There are really good bank offers to get some extra cash coming your way, and you can start investing if you want, if you're able to. And there's a lot of different resources, so check out that video I mentioned earlier. If you've lost your job, you can get free food in your community. So definitely check out those links and check out some of those videos. Until next time, bye.